Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog, or twice daily vlog? I don't know. So this video is specifically in response to my last video, where I talked about how amazingly awesome Jessica Jones is, uh, while revealing basically the whole freaking plot. Now, I did this for a number of reasons. I wanted to talk about how some of the events affected the characters, and it's based on the plot of the book Alias, the comic book Alias, which features Jessica Jones. So technically, if you've read the book, you're probably going to be able to figure out a lot of the talking points I had. However, I did want to make a video giving my opinion on it for those of you that haven't seen the entire series yet and are either still watching, or if you haven't started watching it, go watch it. It's a brilliantly done show. My personal opinion, it's better than Daredevil. Um, yes, my opinion. The show is incredibly well done. You can tell literally the first time you see the introduction. It's got this really great neo-noir, which I believe I just stole from Patton Oswalt or someone. I don't know. Anyway, it's got this great like film noir feel to it. You know, the introduction itself is really well created from an artistic standpoint. Just kind of watch it, and the first time you watch it, you won't recognize most of the stuff happening in it because it hasn't happened in the story yet. But it's really cool. It's really fun to watch, uh, and it really sets the tone for the entire thing. The entire show itself has it has some action aspects to it. You know, it has superheroes, you know, stuff like that. So it's going to have that kind of fantastical element. But at its core, it's a very well done film noir style story. Jessica Jones is a PI. She starts this entire thing getting a job to find a specific individual, and that leads to everything else happening in the story. So yeah, it's from the aspect of just your straight up film noir style, you know, gumshoe style show. It's very well done. Kristen Ritter, who plays Jessica Jones, does it extremely well. I mentioned in my other video, I'm not as familiar with Jessica Jones as I am with Daredevil. I was very critical of Daredevil because it stepped away from a lot of the established identities of Daredevil to kind of turn him into a new thing. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the new motivations that he had. So my opinion on Jessica Jones may just be colored by the fact that I didn't know her before this. But it's, I think Jessica Ritter, or not Jessica Ritter, I'm sorry, Kristen Ritter, does a brilliant job bringing her to life. One of the things I love the most about her characterization is the fact that the Jessica Jones you meet in the first episode and the one that you meet in the last episode are very different characters because of what happens over the length of the show. And that's one of the advantages to a television show versus a movie, is character development itself can happen, and it can happen realistically. And every single pivotal moment in the series profoundly affects her and changes how she interprets situations, changes how she reacts to situations. It's really well done from kind of a character development point of view. I'm always going to focus on character development and stuff like that because I am an actor. That's what I do, and so that is the thing that fascinates me the most. Um, Slight spoiler, which really shouldn't be. If you've seen it, and I think he appears in the first or second episode. So this is not a major spoiler. It doesn't ruin the show or anything, but Luke Cage does show up. He's the very next person in the next series is going to be about him. The reason I mention this is that the character himself is beautifully portrayed. I'm actually not familiar. I'm actually going to find out. Jessica Jones TV series. I just want to find out who it was, the actor that played him. So yeah, it's Kristen Ritter, Jessica Jones. Mike Coulter plays Luke Cage, and he is wonderful. He really, like, the first time you see him, he looks like Luke Cage. Like, just everything about him, his musculature, his kind of expression, everything about him, he looks like Luke Cage, 100%. Kristen Ritter was made to look like Jessica Jones, and she does it very, very well. But Mike Coulter is Luke Cage, like 100%. And again, the growth and just the journey that he goes on, even though he's technically a secondary character to Jessica, the growth that he goes on is very, very interesting. I have to say, personal opinion wise, I liked Luke better than I did Jessica, and I love Jessica. So I was a little bit hesitant in going into this because I didn't know most of the characters and I didn't really care about them. Uh, Now that Luke Cage is the next series that's coming out, I am so excited to see where they take the Luke Cage character. Because the foundation that they started with this provides an amazing kind of outlet to it. There's some other more minor characters that I thought were really, really well done. Um, Her best friend Trish, I thought was a really enjoyable character to watch, and grounded Jessica. You know, because Jessica has the powers and is a superhero, and Trish is just an average human. And I thought the dichotomy there. Especially since in the show sense, Trish is actually very successful. She's a very successful person, relatively wealthy, very well known, and Jessica is, you know, very, very poor, doing very poorly in general. And so that kind of dichotomy of in, you know, life in general, Trish is the one that has the advantage. However, in this world of superheroes, Jessica has the advantage. Is really kind of cool, and it's great to see how they work off each other. The actresses themselves, it's Rachel Taylor that plays Trish, and their chemistry is really, really good. I enjoyed the scenes with those two. The final person that I have to talk about, because he was just mind-blowingly brilliant. David Tennant as the Purple Man, aka Kilgrave. Oh my, just wow, just amazing. David Tennant is a very talented actor. I personally don't think, like everybody knows him for Doctor Who. I personally don't think Doctor Who was the greatest vehicle for his acting abilities. He played a very similar character the entire time. He used very similar emotions. Like he was enjoyable. Like I liked him as the Doctor. I don't think that was the limits of his ability. And the character he plays in this was just awesome. Without giving away too much information, the character himself, again, if you've read Alias or you're familiar with the Jessica Jones or Daredevil, because the Purple Man showed up in Daredevil a lot too, um, this character is 100% a psychopath. And David Tennant plays him incredibly realistically. Like you believe that he's a real person. He's not that kind of, you know, extremely evil villain that, you know, could never exist in real life. He seems like a very real person that has an ability uh, that he shouldn't. He's very, very sick. He's very, very deranged, but he seems like he could actually exist in the world. And that's something that is very difficult to pull off in a comic book villain style thing. So I think the way that he was written and everything was beautifully, beautifully done. Much better than the what was it? The Kingpin from Daredevil. I really did not like him. But the Purple Man I thought was absolutely brilliant. My background as an actor, I played the bad guy all the time. Like I played Judd in Oklahoma. I played Javert in Les Mis. I played Bernardo in West Side Story. So I was always a bad guy, and I always died by the end of the show. That was the running joke whenever I got a role. It was like, well, how are they going to kill you off this time? And if there was a character that had a death in the show, I was generally the one playing them. So yeah, I identify a lot with actors that play villains because I've done it so much, and villains are so interesting to play because a really well written villain, first of all, they never see themselves as the bad guy. That's part of kind of being and encompassing the mindset of a villain is they never see themselves as the bad guy. Um, and any villain that actually does is normally very boring. And so, in order to justify all the horrendous, disgusting things that they do, you really have to get into the mindset of a very deranged person. You have to be able to see it from a point of view that very, very few people ever will have to deal with. And I think David Tennant just did it brilliantly. Without going into too much details, um, as the story goes along, you start finding out more about his character and kind of his origins and where he comes from. Um, and certain things start happening that upset his plan. And that, I think, is when Tenet is at his most brilliant. Because, again, when the villain is in control, they're not quite as much fun to play, and they're not quite as much fun to watch because everything's going the way that they want and they're very confident. Once things start changing and start not going the way that they want them to, that's when you get to see their true character. And oh, David Tennant brings it out brilliantly. There are a lot of scenes in there that are incredibly graphic, that are very disturbing. So if that is something that bothers you, you may want to maybe read a synopsis before you watch every single episode. But overall, I think the series itself did amazing things. I think Netflix learned a lot from Daredevil about what worked and what didn't, and they used all that information for Jessica Jones. And I think all of the stuff that they learned from Jessica Jones are going to use in Luke Cage. And then my personal favorite of the Defenders, Iron Fist, should be a brand new form of awesome by the time it comes out. So, really excited about that. If you haven't watched it, please head over to Netflix, check it out. Even if you only get Netflix for a month just to watch this, do it. It's worth it. If you don't have the ability to do it, as soon as it comes out in some other format, whether it's DVD or being able to rent it at a video store or whatever, get it. It is so, so, so good. All right, so that is my attempt at a spoiler-free version of my opinions on Jessica Jones. That's going to be all for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow for another daily vlog. All right, bye-bye.